of course, we're looking at what's happening around the world. The rest of the world is not where we are. They have moved into a completely different, I think, more practical, more rational, low emissions debate. We just think we can change the world's climate and the temperature from Australia's position alone. And we're not realistic about what it's going to do to our economy. We've got all the issues of geography, which you and I have talked about plenty of times here. You know, we put these renewable assets out in the bush, but we've got to really transmit the power into the urban areas, and that has huge environmental implications. So you look at what's happening in Brazil, these COP festivals, and, you know, they are talk fests. They are nothing like the high-level events they used to be, Chris, where they, you know, we'll go back to Copenhagen in 2008 and 2009 and Kevin Rudd, and the focus on those events, every world leader felt they had to turn up. It dominated debate in our own countries at the time. That's not the case now. Most are not even turning up with their targets as they are supposed to do. I think the debate has absolutely moved on, and we're stuck in the rear vision mirror, still angling and fighting about net zero when most of the world's not even talking about net zero.
Well, it's clear that there's no way that these targets can possibly be met. The International Energy Agency brought out its World Energy Outlook last week, and when you look at its net zero scenarios, not even the International Energy Agency believes this stuff anymore. When it talks about what you would have to do now to try and get the globe to net zero by 2050, it's stretching the bounds of feasibility, is what it says now. It would be an almost, or actually an impossible task. So what we're seeing is the rest of the world now has got energy security really firmly in its sights, is what it wants. Energy affordability is also hugely important. And there's a move away from concern about trying to cut carbon emissions out of systems. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't moving, that there will be a lot more wind and solar put in the grids. But what Australia needs to do is look at what it's best for it and what targets it needs to set that are comparable with the rest of the world. We're not talking about stopping this stuff altogether. We're talking about what level of wind and solar on a grid is a manageable amount and what will help to keep the system both stable and affordable. And certainly the track that we're on at the moment is not doing that.
Well, let's go to the Liberal Party. We're talking about Liberals and leadership. The Liberal Party in Victoria. I was driving into the studio and I got a call from someone who said it's on. I said, it's on what, federally? I don't think that's right. And they said, no, it's on in Victoria. I nearly ran off the road. I said, Brad Batten is ahead in the polls. They're finally competitive. The biggest story in town, not the only story, but the biggest story in town is law and order in crime, so much so that Jacinta Allen is out there with a fake sort of make-believe announcement on a daily basis because it's, you know, obviously poison internally in her polling. And tonight, you know, an unnamed group went in and knocked on his door and said, Brad Batten, you've got to stand down. He says, well, I won't be standing down. And there will be a leadership spill, we think, as early as tomorrow. And the front runner, Jess Wilson, and I think she's, you know, a good and decent sort of new entrant into the parliament. She's just taken on the job of Shadow Treasurer. I think she's competent. But she hasn't even been in the parliament a term. This is her first term, and her name's being mooted as leader. Now, I think as a former cop in a place like Victoria, given 150 home invasions on average, Chris, a week, the Liberals have somehow managed to look like they're determined to lose next November's election.
Well, it passes all understanding to know why this is going on at the moment. You think about what's happened to the Liberal Party in Victoria. This is their third leader in less than a year. So that's hardly a sign of stability as you're heading into an election year. And clearly, Jess Wilson is a woman who has some capacity. But as you point out, she's in her first term. She's 35 years of age. She has plenty of time yet. Who knows what the underlying issues are that are undermining Brad Batten at the moment. But clearly, when you're heading into a fourth leader in the space of a year, the chances of you winning the next election would seem to be getting more remote rather than more likely. Now, no doubt there are geniuses inside the Liberal Party who will tell you that this is all for the best. But this is a party that has been in government for 4 years this century. So something in that party is deeply broken, and it doesn't appear at the moment it's on the way to being fixed. But you know, I'll defer to you, Peter. This is the branch that you know extremely well. You know, you can explain to me what's going on down there, because to an outsider, it appears to be completely incomprehensible.
Chris, I thought it couldn't get worse when they lost the unlosable election to Daniel Andrews after Victorians being locked down harder and longer than anywhere else in the world. But they managed to lose it then. And I fear that's where they're headed if they go down this path tomorrow. But we will see. I'll come back to that issue. Chris, thank you.